Welcome everyone to Doha, Qatar, where we have this amazing encounter that is going to be played in the 5th round of the tournament between Surya Ganguly and Arjun Erigaisi. Both of them speaking to each other before the game. It's actually a clash of generations. Ganguly, one of the top players in India for several years, 6 times national champion, Asian champion. Arjun, the current star of Indian chess, India number 1, also world number 4. And we are about to begin. Ganguly takes his time and opens with 1e4 on the board. And this is interesting because Surya is always very ambitious. He loves to play chess, and when he's up against these youngsters, he loves to give it his all. And so this is going to be an exciting game. Knight comes out to f3. Is the Sicilian. For Arjun, this tournament is extremely important for his chances at the FIDE circuit to make it to the candidates. He's currently on 3 out of 4. The Open Sicilian has been played and Arjun takes the pawn. cd4, knight takes d4, and will we see the dragon? Because Arjun loves to play the Sicilian dragon. He brings his knight out to f6. Attacks the pawn on e4. Surya defends it with knight to c3. And this is the moment of truth. We have a6, the Najdorf that is played. That is exciting. The Najdorf is on the board. And now, what is Surya going to choose? Because there's so many ways to play against the Najdorf. He goes for one of the most popular ways with bishop e3. The English attack, as they call it, e5. Arjun strikes in the center. You generally put your knight on b3. That is exactly what Surya has done. Now, there's a weakness on the d5 square. But Arjun quickly covers it up with his bishop, knight. And the main point is that black has equal space in the center. f3 is played. And a free-flowing development with bishop e7, knight d7. Arjun brings his bishop out to e7. This is all well-known opening theory. Queen d2 is how white continues generally, preparing long castles. So queen d2 on the board, long castles followed by g4 is played. Generally black short castles here, but Arjun goes h5. He plays this move. It's against the move g4 at future. And look at Surya's move here, bishop e2. He's still in his preparation. With this move, he's actually keeping the options open to castle short. And this is now an interesting moment in the game because you can castle long, but after knight d5, now the battlefield takes a different shape. Arjun can take here with the knight and play bishop f5. That's also a plausible way, but he decides to take with his bishop and convert it into an interesting structure. Now in such positions, white generally short castles. He plays his queen to c7, keeping pressure down the c file. Black's bishop on e7 is not particularly great, and Surya has a clear plan in the mind, which is c4, put your knight on a5, b4 and c5. h4 played here by Arjun. He's trying to create play on the king side. And white quickly short castles. That makes a lot of sense. You are now connected your rooks. And everything looks great here. Knight to h5 played by Arjun. So he moves his knight and he wants to play f5, f4. Surya plays his rook to e1, angling against the king. Also can drop the bishop back if needed. And Arjun short castles. Now, normal way for white to play is maybe a4, knight a5, c4 and so on. Let's see what Surya does. Yes, he plays knight a5. One of the points here is that if you play c4, black could go a5, a4. So first Surya tries to block the queen side. But meanwhile, Arjun is coming with his king side pawns. He wants to play f4. He wants to push in the center. Surya goes b4. And this is clear. b4, c4, a4, c5. He wants to play on the queen side. What a fight this is. And Arjun pushes forward with h3. Now if you play g3, there is f4, which would be very strong. So that's the reason why Surya makes this very ugly decision. But actually it's a very bold one as well, because he's broken his king side structure But he says, I don't mind. It doesn't matter. After bishop h4, he's just simply going to play his rook back to f1 square. He takes his time here. Bishop h4, rook f1 does come on the board. You can see how Arjun Erigaisi makes a mess on the chessboard, and also Surya is joining in here. Knight comes to f6. It's time to push your pawn to c4. And c4, if you get the queenside play rolling, that's going to be really good for you. You can see Surya zoning in. He has more time on the clock as well. He pushes c4. And I think he's feeling confident at this point. For Arjun, how to create counterplay is the big question. He pushes f4. Now this actually, bishop f2, very logical. He comes back with his bishop and you take it. Bishop takes f2 and just take rook f2. So you realize that after rook f2, what has happened is the rook is ready to swing over to the g file, but Arjun pushes forward. You can't take the pawn because of knight e4 and a fork, and there's also an e3 threatened. So Ganguly plays his queen to d4. Maybe even stronger was rook g2, but the point being that if you push your pawn, this is an excellent position for white because his king is safe and c5 is coming in. So these are the points that need to be assessed because e3 looks so good. You have a protected passer there. But Arjun realizes he needs to keep the center fluid because that is where his counterplay is flowing. Now it's time to push in the center with c5, and Surya Ganguly does that. Of course, his chess understanding is one of the best in the world. And so he's playing this, really making Arjun stretch. Rook e5 played by Arjun. A check could come in. He's also looking at the d5 pawn. If you take, by the way, this bishop c4 pinning. So that's the reason why Surya goes rook d1. You can't take here. Bishop c4 ends the game. So let's see what Arjun does. Maybe he'll put his king to the side. Maybe it's a bit too slow. And there are other opportunities. You can take on c5, which could be a very crazy move. Because think about it. If you take and now pawn takes on c5, then there's a check. And you will lose your knight here. So that's the reason why Surya takes with the queen. And he's offering a trade of queens here. But Arjun very calmly declines it with queen f7. Black has now few attackers jumping in to the king side. Surya touches his rook, brings it to the best square. It's the best move in the position. Once again, remember, e3 just closes all black's counterplay. He needs to open it up, which is why Arjun takes on f3. This is the correct move. But you can see that the d pawn is pretty strong in the center of the board. Now Surya Ganguly takes on f3. He's keeping an eye on the knight here. His bishop is well placed. How does Arjun create counterplay? Yes, knight e4 is a fantastic move. Now, only move to stay in the game is queen c1. Queen c4. Why is this important? No, he goes wrong with queen d4. The difference is very subtle and very difficult to understand. The point is, if knight g5 here, you can take, king here, and later the queen can come and defend this position. But from d4, it is impossible for the queen to join in. It is so subtle that even a player of Surya Ganguly's strength couldn't identify this. And now Arjun does go knight g5. With this move, he's attacking f3. He's attacking here on h3. You can't take the rook. It is a fork. So that's the reason why bishop g4 was played. If you, by the way, take here and king h1, queen f5, attacking h3 is tremendously strong. This is also winning for black. So bishop g4, and now beautiful move here by Arjun Erigaisi. He goes queen e8, defending his rook, preparing to enter the position. Rook f2 played. Notice if you go bishop e6, I can simply take and give you a fork here, which is why rook f2 was played to take into control this square, and f3 played here by Arjun. Classy chess by Arjun Erigaisi. Once again, bishop e6 does not work. He goes king f1 because bishop e6 I take and check and I win the rook here. So king f1, and now let's see what Arjun does. He brings his other rook in. Rook f4 attacking the queen, and look at the knight on a5. It's just not able to participate in what's going on. Queen d3 played, and now it's time to double the rooks on the e file and threaten a mate here on e1. Imagine if I play a3, rook e1 is just game over. So he goes check, and you can take here knight e6. This should be completely fine. But Arjun calmly plays his king to h8. He's like, I don't need to take it right now. I'm coming in knight f4. So rook c1 played by Ganguly here. But now knight is jumping in to f4. It's quite weird how black's pieces are all stacked up. They have really maneuvered themselves in different ways. Knight f4 attacking the queen here on d3. Queen b3 played to keep an eye on d5 and e6. And there are several ways now to continue play. He takes knight d5, fantastic move. If bishop d5, rook e1 is a mate because the queen opens up. So you can't take here. He takes on f3, Surya. But there are so many ways to win now. You can take on e6, you can take on f3, and he takes on f3. Queen cannot take. There is rook f4. You lose the queen. And so this is already game over. And he resigns. e6 was also hanging. What a game this was by Arjun Erigaisi. And actually, it always takes two to tango. I think Surya Ganguly really played openly this game. He was not at all afraid of Arjun. He took the fight, and there he asks his opponent, do you want to go out and analyze? I'm sure that they analyzed for quite some time here with very interesting possibilities in the entire game. But Arjun Erigaisi moves to 4 out of 5. He needs to win this tournament to qualify to the candidates to top the FIDE circuit. We'll see, as of now, a good result for the Indian youngster.